Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E. G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
Minute 39 of Groundhog Day gets Phil interacting with Nancy Taylor, getting out of the diner, and gets us to the next iteration of February 2nd. We start with a cut. As Rita got up at the end of the previous minute, we were focused on the back of Gus, and we definitely get a cut forward in time. We don't know how much, because we don't see Phil's table. We don't see whether it's been cleared of all of his pastries. How much of it he ate, we don't know. But Gus and Ralph are still there. Nancy is still at her table. The guy who was at the table past Nancy, who was wearing flannel and had a hat, he's gone. Doris is now clearing his table. So some time has passed. Maybe not much time, but some time. Phil is ready to leave. I don't know why he's walking toward the back of the restaurant when he should be walking to the front, which is off to the right and behind us. I don't think there's a door up on the left. I'm pretty sure the only door in and out, barring a back door on the alley, is behind us and to the right. Which, last minute we saw, was where Larry had come from. And in later minutes we'll see a line of people are over there waiting for tables. Including woman in blue coat, who I've mentioned before, and annoying dancer guy, who I've mentioned before. But in this minute, we're not seeing that, and Phil, for some reason, is walking toward the back. Maybe he's going to go to the bathroom before he leaves.
Jumping in while editing because I double-checked. In minute 6, as the van enters the town square, we see them pass the west side of the Tip Top. There is a door back there. It's next to a big neon sign that says Eat. So Phil could be on his way to the back door, avoiding the people waiting for tables up at the front door. Or he's already made up his mind he's going to go talk to Nancy.
He sees Nancy sitting at the table. He sits at the chair at the empty table that Doris is clearing. Behind Nancy, she's reading the Punxsutawney Spirit. Amusingly, decorations over on the wall over here. Not as many plates and clocks. Someone has cut the masthead from today's Punxsutawney Spirit, like literally the same paper she's reading, that says Happy Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney Spirit. Someone has cut just that part of the paper off and stuck it on the wall over here. So it looks kind of like a bumper sticker, but I realized when I looked at it closer, no, it says Happy Groundhog Day. It's not a bumper sticker. It is the masthead from today's paper. Someone stuck on the wall. Also on the wall, dangling, so it's hanging on the wall and the pillar, not just flat on the wall, is a t-shirt. And in all the years I've been dealing with Groundhog Day in detail, I've never figured out what this t-shirt is. Originally I thought it was going to be local high school, like mascot sports team, but it didn't turn out to be that. But it's hanging weird, and I don't know why. Because this diner was, of course, created for the movie. This was an empty space. It has been many restaurants since, was probably other restaurants before this, but at the time was empty. And that was good for the production because they were able to decorate it how they wanted, hence the clocks on the wall. And the groundhog decor over on the other wall. There's some colored paper doll groundhogs. And the Punxsutawney Spirit here, which I'm guessing those two little guys on the edge of it are groundhogs, but they're so small on the screen, I'm not sure. And I don't think I ever found the actual issue of the Punxsutawney Spirit that she's reading. I should look that up again, see if I can find it. He says, hey, did you see the groundhog this morning? Even though this is a strange man talking to her, she kind of looks at him and says, like, I never miss it. He asks, what's your name? Nancy Taylor. And you are? She's taking an interest, but also she's kind of challenging him. As I've said several times, every conversation with Phil is a battle. She doesn't want to lose. She's fine with a guy talking to her. I think our understanding of Nancy as a character just in the movie, and definitely if you also have seen the musical, is she appreciates this. She wants the guy to come and pick her up. She wants the guy to talk to her because it makes it a little easier. Also, she's probably got to go to work at the dress shop pretty soon. He doesn't answer. He doesn't say his name. He says, what high school did you go to? What? High school. Lincoln in Pittsburgh. Notably, my wife went to Lincoln. At least part of her high school career was at Lincoln in Pittsburgh. Now she asks more directly, "Who are you?" Phil doesn't answer. "Who was your 12th grade English teacher?" "Are you kidding?" No. In 12th grade, your English teacher was Mrs. Walsh. My 12th grade English teacher, by the way, would have been Mr. Larison, and that was AP English, the second year of it, and I kind of pissed him off by not taking the AP exam and basically just using the class for the extra point on my GPA, which was a little cheating, but also I didn't necessarily think I was going to pass the AP exam, and probably wouldn't have. I might have. I didn't do well on my the verbal part of my SAT, so I'm guessing I wouldn't have done that well on AP English. I don't know. But I didn't take it. That pissed my teacher off. He told me as much. And yeah, he was a little upset. But yeah, so I know my teachers. I'd remember my high school teachers if someone asked. But I would also know exactly who was in that room because my high school was tiny. My graduating class was 13 students. I think the largest class I had in high school was probably PE. And that's because of AP English, I actually had PE with the other seniors and juniors who were in AP, plus all of the freshmen. That 8 a.m. PE class was rather big. Probably like 30 to 40 people altogether. No, probably like 30, 35. Still not huge. Nothing like you get in public high schools. Or even larger private high schools. He just repeats it. Nancy, Lincoln, Walsh. Okay, thanks very much. And he gets up and leaves. And she's like, hey. Like, she did not get an explanation that was weird and interesting. And it's like, what? We cut. We skip the morning routine. We don't need to see the alarm clock right now. We don't need to see Phil get out of bed. We don't need to see him interact with Mrs. Lancaster again. We cut to Phil is already in the square, Gobbler's Knob the next day. Strike up the music. The band has begun. The Pennsylvania Polka. Yeah, Phil's looking for some Pennsylvania polka, all right.
You know, Doctor, I'm getting a little tired of the sexual innuendo.
Innuendo.
We do see where he's going to find Nancy. I would point out that she was not there on the previous 4 iterations of Groundhog Day. Well, we didn't see this location last time. We skipped the square. But definitely on the first day, he walked right past here. She was not there. So, obviously for the production, they didn't have her stand here on the days they didn't need her because she's not an extra. She's a credited, like, co-star, whatever you want to call that. Not a principal. Is it a principal? I don't know what you call the supporting character. There we go. We'll go with that. Supporting character with a name, with lines, not an extra.
What is a day player?
A day player is someone who is hired on a daily contract.
What is a co-star?
A co-star in feature film means that you are co-starring with a huge star.
And a principal?
Principal is a speaking role, as opposed to an extra, which is a non-speaking role.
Those are some definitions for you.
So they probably wouldn't have her stand there if she doesn't have lines that day. Because that's weird. They should have had a stand-in who looked like her to stand in that location. And I think it was a lapse in the production's judgment not to do that. Because, yeah, Phil walked past here and Nancy was not there. But now she is. In the reality of where Phil is, the actual, like, Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, time loop, what has Phil done? Whatever he did differently this morning has left Phil Sign Girl without her friend and has put Nancy in a spot on the knob where she wasn't before. So the universe is adjusting. Like, are these just production details? Absolutely. But also I want to read the film as a film. I want to read the film as the actual story. These are the things that are happening. So something Phil did between 6 o'clock and 7:20, because the same people are behind him on the corner when he passes the old man, and Ned is right there. So Phil is arriving at the same time. Something he did between 6 and 7:20 in the morning kept Phil Sign Girl's friend from catching up to Phil Sign Girl. Something he has done again between 6 and now 7:20, because we're getting Pennsylvania Polkas playing, this morning has put Nancy next to the gazebo. Where was she before? Maybe she was by the other gazebo, the one we don't really see much in this movie. Maybe she was closer to Gobbler's Knob, closer to the reporters. Except we see wide shots of the crowd and she wasn't in it. That's why I say there should have been an extra in this outfit. You should always have extras posing as your principals in shots they're not there for. You need stand-ins, even for a minor character like this. I don't mean that she's not important to the story. She's very important to the story. But relatively minor role, because she's basically in 4 scenes. I guess 5 technically, if you count the bar and the inside of the banquet hall as 2 separate scenes. Phil's about to do something else to game the system of the time loop. And we're going to be entertained because, as I said a few episodes ago, the movie gives us space to be forgiving of this. We can forgive Phil cheating and getting extra information and now lying because Nancy is so eager to take it in and accept what he's saying. We can blame the victim when oh, that's fucked up. I shouldn't say victim here because it makes the phrase sound, I was going to say when the victim is asking for it, but no. The victim, never blame the victim. However, the movie gives us enough information to think that Nancy would have maybe gone home with whatever guy talked to her while she's out with Garbage Knob. She's out there at 7 a.m. by herself. She was at the diner at 8 or 9 a.m, whatever time it was, by herself. If you go by the song playing Nancy from the musical, this is kind of her life. She'd like to get married someday, but for now it's just whichever guy will have her. And that's sad. And Phil is taking advantage of it. However, Phil is also that sad, pathetic, lonely person who we have no indication in the movie that he even has a love life, that he dates. But we can imagine it. And in earlier versions of the script, we know he's a womanizer, that he kind of hits on all of the interns and secretaries at the news station. He's already taken an interest in Rita, though we won't get the date night sequence where he really goes after her for a little bit. So the movie gives us enough space to not think horrible of Phil, to not really judge him yet. And it's not going to let him do anything particularly bad without giving us room to be okay with it. Because it doesn't want us to hate him. It wants us to see a damaged, flawed, problematic individual who's also a little charming and a little funny. And charm and humor goes a long way to getting us on his side. Plus, he's our protagonist, so we're inherently on his side. Because he's in all of our scenes. Even the scene he's not in, he's in. Burning in that truck on the ground when they cut to Larry and Rita. He's lying dead on that gurney when we cut to Larry and Rita and the doctor. He's always there. He's us. What would we do if we had the chance to repeat the day over and over? Is there someone we would want to ask a couple questions and figure out a little more about? Is it a bad idea to look up information about someone? Like if you're on a dating app, do you look up that person separately? When I was on a dating app, I'd look up people on social media. See if I can see more than they're putting on the dating app. Because, yeah, you want to see what they're presenting, but you also want to get an idea, or at least I did, of what they're quote-unquote really like. Is that wrong? If it's not wrong then, is this wrong? What Phil's doing so far? He is about to lie. That makes some of it wrong. But we'll talk more about that next time. That's all I got for minute 39. We'll get to his lying to Nancy next minute. Until then, don't lie to anyone today. But if you get the chance to meet someone new or ask someone out, take the chance. I was going to say what's the worst that could happen, but they could hit you or hate you. Try not to make anyone do that. Till tomorrow.
Knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?